Hey everybody, it's John Brown again, and we're going to be doing a kind of run through of a couple turns of Automobiles, a game by AAG in the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles trilogy, by designer of Planes actually. And here we have a setup for a 3-player game. This game plays 2 to 5 players, and you can vary the number of laps you want to play and vary the setup of the game quite a bit. So here is kind of the starting setup. Each player starts with the same starting cubes that have on the top of each one, and then based on your position on the track, you get a certain amount of money to buy the extra cubes. So those are the cubes I have down below underneath that each player has chosen. Now, like a deck builder where you draw cards, or in this case a bag builder where you draw cubes out of a bag to activate things, each cube is going to represent a certain thing. So the white, light gray, and then there are also going to be dark gray and black cubes represent basically gears that allow movement. Then all the other colored cubes are all going to be special things. So if we take a quick look, these are the cards that we're going to be using for this game, and this is kind of the beginner game setup. There are 2 sides to the player board. This is kind of a NASCAR track. There's kind of a Formula One racing track on the other side with more complex turns than that. And there are 4 cards of each color in the game. So there are different setups suggested that you can use, or you can randomize, or you can choose to set up your own custom game however you want to. But basically, we'll get into what each one of these cards do during the game, but just know these cubes represent, a lot of variability as to what the special abilities basically are in the game. And then we have our gear cards are always going to be the same that allow movement, and then our wear cards, which we don't want, are basically dead cubes in our bag. Now I've gone ahead and drew for every player. You draw 7 cubes per turn. You're going to draw that to the end of your turn, so you kind of think about what you're going to want to do in later turns. And like I said, these represent like different gears, how fast we can move, and basically what spaces we're going to function on the track. And then these are kind of special abilities. So what I'm going to do is show you an example of a turn. Every turn you can do one of 2 things. Either take actions with your cubes and then buy stuff, or you can do a pit stop, where basically you don't do any actions and then you get rid of any, I keep wanting to call them waste, but they're wear cubes, and we'll see how that works in a second. I'm basically going to use these cubes to move on my turn. So anytime when I want to move, I can move straight ahead or diagonally. So when you have people in front of you, that can limit your movement, and you need a variety of cubes to be able to move properly. So what I can do is I can use this cube to go ahead and move in this direction, and then continue in this light gray. So there are 4 different color cubes between the white, light gray, dark gray, and black. So I can use these 2 to move forward, and then I only have white ones left. Now, this space is larger. Now, 2 cars can actually fit in here, and you probably can't see it from this far away without me focusing in, but there's a little kind of dotted line to signify multiple cars can fit in this space, whereas in these ones, obviously only 1 can fit. But each one of these is considered 1 space with the black outline. So I can move my car this way and then use my remaining white cubes. And then if I want to, I can even kind of head out towards the outside here. So this is the last space that I ended up in. So I'm going to go ahead and say these cubes here, I can use them if I want, but they're better off after certain things happen. So for example, the yellow cube that we're using in this game allows you to remove 1 gear cube from your discard pile and gain 1 gear cube of a higher gear, basically. Well, I don't have anything in my discard yet. I'm not going to have that until the end of my turn. So nothing in my discard pile, so this doesn't really help me. And then the pit also, it allows me to draw cubes until I draw something that isn't a wear cube, and then remove all the wear cubes from your discard pile. Well, I don't have any wear cubes yet, so there isn't really any point for me doing that. So I'm going to use these cubes to spend. So after you've decided what actions you're going to do, you can spend money. And you see on a card here, there is a cost of the card and then a value for when you are spending it as money. So with the yellow is worth 2, and then the purple is worth 1, so I have a total of 3 money. So I'm going to go ahead and buy a red cube, that's what they cost, and put that in my discard pile because I just purchased that. So basically, I spent my cubes to movement, I used leftover cubes to buy cubes, and then I'm going to go ahead and move my car to the space where they would have ended up. And then these cubes will all go into my discard. And then that's the end of your turn. Any cube, well, all of your cubes, even the ones that if you haven't used for some reason, everything is going to go to your discard pile, and then you'll draw back up to 7. Alright, now it's the blue player's turn, and the blue players looked at what they have and decided to take a little bit of a different approach and spend a little bit more money early in the game. So they're going to go ahead and use this to move here, and then they can move diagonally into this space, and then back diagonally into here. Now, one thing that I actually forgot already on the first turn is that, and I said we were going to talk about wear cubes. So you remember on the first turn, I went into the light gray area and then I ended my turn in the white. Well, it doesn't matter what cubes you use or where you end up, but basically you look at whatever the darkest color is that you went on during your turn. And we did go into the light gray area on our turn as the green player. So we're going to look here and see on this chart in the light gray area, that's going to get us 2 of these where cubes, and they are also going to go into our discard pile. So the blue player is going to do a very similar thing. So this is how they've decided that they're going to move. And then all of these cubes, because again, they're better with stuff in your discard pile, they're basically going to use to get money. So with that money, they have a total of 8. So they're going to get 2 of these 3-cost red cubes, and then a gray gear cube. So all that's going to go into their discard pile. All this will go into the discard pile, and then they'll move. So they'll go ahead and move up to this space. And then the same as before, another example. The highest color that they went into during their turn was the light gray cubes. So they are also going to get 2 where cubes that go into their discard pile as well. Now the purple player is actually going to show off some unique things here, 2 things we haven't seen yet. First, they're going to use this red special ability. So the red cube allows you to gain 1 where card, then discard a cube from your active pile. So everything started here in the active pile. So they're going to discard this gray cube and put it in the discard pile. And it allows them to move up to 3 spaces of 1 gear lower, which would be in this what's called third gear in the game, or this white section. So they can move 1, 2, 3 in the white. Now they're going to gain this 1 where from using that ability, like it says, and discard this to move up to 3. Then they're going to use this other one to move up to here, and then the rest are going to use this for buying power, and I'll show you why in just a second here. So they're going to go ahead and move up to this space, and with their buying power, they have each one of these yellow is worth 3, and then this gray is worth 1. The white cubes aren't worth any, but they have a total of 7 with which they're going to purchase a blue and a green cube. So they have purchased these. All of this is going to go in their discard pile. These will go into their discard pile. But the other neat mechanism that I wanted to show off with this move is that you notice that here the purple player ended up directly behind the blue player. Now you can be in the segment behind, or for example, if they were, say, in this section, and all this is considered one space, but they were, behind each other directly. Whenever that happens, you're considered drafting that other player, and you don't have to worry about getting more where cubes. So they did take a where cube because they use that red special ability, but at the end of their turn they won't have to look at this chart. So you could go all the way into where you've used one of the black zone sections and then, gone and gotten behind a player and not taken any where cubes, which can be a really big deal. Now I forgot the blue player should draw, and then we'll also draw for the purple player, and then we'll start the second round. Now we're only in round 2 of the game, but the green player is already going to show off something pretty neat here. So you remember, these yellow cubes allow you to basically upgrade cubes in your discard pile. So we're going to go ahead and remove these 2 light gray and a white and put in 2 darker gray and then 1 light gray as they're basically 1 up from what the cube was before. And then all that will go into the discard pile. So we've used these right now in order to upgrade those cubes. Now we're going to use this blue cube. So this engine action, the rotary engine, allows us to gain a where, so we're going to remember to do that, and then remove as many white spaces as you have unique colors in your discard pile. So we're going to gain this where and use this green cube, and right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7, just want to make sure I got that right, different color cubes in our discard pile. So we can go ahead and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's a big move that'll move us all the way up to there. And then we have 2 of these white cubes left, and why not? So we're not going to buy anything on this turn. We're just going to go zooming around all the way up into this position. We don't have any cubes left with which to buy. These will go into our discard pile. Anything we're going to use pile will move into the discard pile. And we were already in the lead and just made a big move. Something else that was nice about that move, even though we move a long way around the track, we never went through any spaces that were higher than white. So we're going to take 1 where cube and put that into our discard pile. Alright, so the blue player has got to decide what to do. So I think that they may be going to spend 2 yellow and maybe upgrade these 2. So they're going to go ahead and get 1 higher of each. So they've spent those. And then they're going to go ahead and spend this red cube. So again, with the red cube you gain 1 where cube, and you discard a cube from your active pile and move up to 3 spaces of the color below it. So they can move up to 3 white spaces. We're going to go ahead and move 1, 2, 3. And then they have 3 more white cubes, so I think they're going to take a similar move. They're not going to buy anything, and they're just going to move up into here. Now, so they'll move up into this space. Again, the white territory was the only type of space that they moved in, so they're only going to take 1 were cube at the end of their turn. Alright, because this is the last turn I'm going to show off of the game, I'm going to do a bit of a retcon here, because I believe we've talked about the purple, even though we didn't use it to draw cubes and get rid of were cubes in the discard pile. We didn't take a turn to pit and get rid of brown cubes. Those are 2 things that could happen. Like I said, each one of the colored cubes are, there are 4 different cards that you can use, so there's all different kinds of special abilities. We didn't show off the pit, and we didn't really show off the functionality of the purple card, but we explained it. So I did have a blue card in my active pile here, but just to show how it works, I'm going to say I had a green card instead here to show you that special ability, at least in the start game, which one is the green card, the gearbox. So in order to take this turn, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to move these 2 spaces here. And then the green's ability reads, gain 1 were, move up to as many light gray spaces at your current position in the race. If and unless you may move 1 additional light gray space. So this is obviously really powerful in last place, and with a lot of players you can make a big move with that. So I'm going to go ahead and gain a were cube, and because I'm in 3rd place, I would move 3 and then +1 because I'm in last. So I can move 1, 2, and this space counts as either white or light gray, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to make a big jump all the way up into there, and then I can't really move back now. So I only have white cubes left. So this is where, movement can be super important. This may not be the best move for me to take, but I would need a light gray or a dark gray in order to move out of here. So I'm going to use these to say that I'd buy something with it at the end of my turn. I would move all the way up into here, and you always move into the front space. Then if at any point, let's say you had a space with like multiple spaces and somebody moves out, you'll also basically, at the end of, say, this player's turn, move up automatically. You're always considered behind that player, even if somebody moves out. But just to show you how the green cube works, we're going to go ahead and move 4 light gray spaces. Now, if we're checking to see who technically is winning the race, because these are kind of in the same line, the blue is on the inside, so they would be in the lead. But basically, I just wanted to show off how the green cube functioned. So, I just replaced the blue cube with it. We'd spend this to buy cubes, put them in there. We went through a light gray on our turn. We'll get 2 additional were cubes to put in our discard pile. Eventually, obviously, our were cubes will build up. We'll want to use special abilities and pit stops in order to get rid of the cubes. But I wanted to show you just 2 complete rounds, and I believe I showed off, or at least talked about, what all the different abilities are. And like I said, there are 4 different abilities for each card, and then the gear cards and where all work the same way, and then 2 different sides of the track. In case you were wondering, here's the other side of the track. As you can see, kind of more twists and turns, a long section of several black spaces in a row instead of 1 on each side of the board. You want, ideally you'd like to get several of those cubes at one time, but then again, if you have them when you're completely on the other side of the track, they're kind of useless, except for buying power. So there's a quick look at the other side of the track. Also, a quick look at the insert. I had to shift some cubes around or whatever, but basically the game already came with cubes and things whenever. There's very little setting up, getting the game, and it's a fantastic insert. Just thought I should mention that. Well, showing off my new aerodynamic hairdo for automobiles, but basically that was just a run-through of 2 rounds of how to play the game. If you're looking for my review of the game, that should be coming out hopefully within the next few days. I definitely want an opportunity to get to play the game some more, get to really look at it. This is a game I was pretty excited about getting, but if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you see that if I don't like a game, even one, well, I don't get any free games, I'm too small of a channel. If I don't like a game after purchasing it, I'm not afraid to say that, but I am looking forward to it. But like I said, I need to play it some more to let you guys know exactly, my final thoughts, if you will. But, that's basically how everything functions. Just there is variability as to what the different colored cubes do, and, like I said, variability as to tracking whatever. So it's one that so far I'm feeling pretty positive about, but like I said, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be coming back later with my final thoughts as soon as I feel ready to do that. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. Alright, bye!